Hello tanks and tankettes, and welcome to a view replay courtesy this time of Flare Phoenix here, and he's in the 113. This is one I pulled from my replays portal. I'm not doing emails anymore, or email submissions for tanks anyway. I'm still doing it for warships, but for tanks I've now got my own replays portal set up, so you can go and find the link to that in the description below. I will just point that out, I think, every so often, just so that everybody's on the same page now, but the uptake has been pretty good, so I think most people do know about it at this point. So yes, this is a fairly uncommon sight, although maybe not if you watch Fosh stream, because I know Fosh has a fondness for this tank. Is that fair to say? Is it fair to put it that way? Maybe. It's, these days, I think a fairly reasonable tier 10 heavy. It wasn't always regarded as being so. In fact, it might still not be regarded as being so by some people. I don't know. But just looking at the stats, I can see that the armour is pretty decent. I mean, it's got that weak Chinese lower front plate, but the upper front plate's not bad, and the turret isn't bad. Although, having said the upper front plate's not bad, against tall tanks that are able to fire down into that armour and negate some of that angle, it becomes a lot weaker. And that is relevant in this battle because there are a pair of E100s on the enemy team. The gun is pretty nice. It's somewhere in between the German 128mm and the Soviet 122mm. It's got around about the penetration of the Germans with the damage that you'll find on the IS-4 and the ST-1 and the T-10, so that's pretty nice. It's got a reload, at least according to tanks.gg, that's identical to the T110E5, and you've got better damage than the T110E5, so that puts your DPM at pretty much almost the top of the list. It's not as good as the T57 Heavy, not as good as the 215B, but I think it's the third best overall, if you don't count tanks that aren't in the game yet. Because there's the Chieftain. If you go and look at tanks.gg, you can find the Chieftain on that list, and the Chieftain T95. And who knows, the Swedes might be somewhere towards the top of the list as well. I'm not sure. Now, on top of all that reasonable armour and pretty good DPM and firepower, you've got probably the best thing about this, which is the mobility. Now again, it's not the best for a tier 10 heavy. The best at the moment in game, again, the Swedes might be up there on that list as well, is obviously the 50B, which has really no armour to speak of. This, however, with its rather well sloped 120mm of frontal armour, it's probably one of the best combinations you'll find of speed and armour. The IS-7 has a better top speed, but it doesn't have anything like the power to weight ratio. This has got the power to weight of around about the same as the 110E5, but with a better top speed, and the terrain resistances are really good. So it'll get up to that speed, and it'll keep that speed better than other tanks. Anyway, that's enough about the tank itself. I thought I'd just, you know, run down some of the points of it, because you don't see it very often, and I had to go and look it up because it's not one I have a lot of personal experience with. So let's talk about the game. They've pretty much won this corner. There isn't any artillery to worry about, and with the DPM on this machine, as you can see, Flare has already done over 4,000 damage, and he's about to get another kill. Now, he used a bit of auto-aim there, which can work out well sometimes. That T-34, however, is, yeah, he's about to have a very bad day. That's not going to work out well. He went from full health to 0 health very quickly. He took a hit from the Gorilla and then another hit from that ISU who popped up along the K-line. Flare, perhaps figuring that his allies can now secure this area of the map, has decided to head back to the cap, because if you look at the minimap, you'll see that there are quite a lot of tanks pressing up the glacier. There was a Gorilla 15 defending the base area up on the little platform area. He's now gone down south, and I'll tell you now, that Gorilla 15, he's going to have fired no shells during the entirety of this game, and I think you'll be able to guess where he ends up on the team list. Anyway, so he's turned up just in time to see that E100 die, the Allied E100. He also didn't get a particularly good score, but he did a hell of a lot more than the Gorilla. The Skoda that was here, he's going to end up with a pretty reasonable damage count himself. And so I suspect their E100 was taking all the hits and the Skoda was popping out and doing the damage. Now, talking of doing damage, that was a bit of a miscalculation on Flair's part, but to be fair, it was also a bit of a split-second decision there. He went forward, I think, intending to take out the IS-3. That E100, the low-health E100, decided, okay, I'm going to take this opportunity, and penned him with an AP shell. It wasn't even heat. And I think there was just enough time that he could have made the decision to switch to the E100 and not take that hit. He might have taken one from the IS-3 instead, but it would have been considerably less painful than the 800 plus damage he just took. Anyway, so the low health, there we go, E100 is dead. The other E100 is dead that was firing HE at him, which has still done a fair whack of damage. I mean, with Flair being behind cover here, maybe that E100 decided AP would be a waste of time, which it probably would have been. He wouldn't have had the any of the weaker areas of the army. He wouldn't have had the lower front plate, wouldn't have had the turret commander's hatch to shoot at, so those two HE shells still took a fair whack of health. So he's now an easy one-shot. Fortunately, the E50 doesn't get him. The M103, who could take the hit, did take the hit, but he also got the kill. And Flair, sitting on 5 kills, is maybe at this point thinking, I'd quite like a Top Gun, and he's got one chance left to do this with this enemy pattern. Now, unfortunately, as it turns out, the pattern is anything but a one-shot, and a lot of Flair's allies at this point are fairly low health, so they'll probably kill this guy, but it might incur some casualties along the way. Having said fairly low health, I mean, the Gorilla's taken like one hit. I honestly don't know what the Gorilla was thinking in this game. He probably could have finished off this pattern all by himself, but instead, the pattern finishes off the Skoda and then is able to finish off Flair's 113 before succumbing himself. So, it was inevitably won at that point, but the pattern decided he wasn't going to make it easy for them. Flair, however, still got a little bit more damage, and that last hit was enough to put him over 7,000. Now, he did fire a fair few heat shells in that, but he switched back to AP at the end, so he was using the heat shells for the targets he thought needed it. And having not played the 113, I don't know how reliable the gun is against those more armed targets with its, was it 248 pen, which is just a little bit more than you get with a German 128. So maybe you might feel that that was excessive use of heat. I don't know. I don't know the tank well enough, but still over 7,000 damage done is pretty damn good. And as you can see, of every shot that actually hit, he penned. He did miss a couple, but that's still pretty good shooting overall. So, yeah, hopefully you have enjoyed this game. I've maybe turned it into a slight mini review at the start, but as I said, I haven't covered this tank before, so it was interesting to see where it fits in these days. If you did enjoy it, you can leave any comments below. I shall be interested to see what they are for this one, because I might be completely wrong about the 113, I don't know. But if I am, I'm sure you'll educate me. If you've enjoyed it anyway, otherwise you can also just say that. You can hit the like button, you can sub to my channel if you haven't already, and as always, stay tuned for more.